So for most of the other ab pieces, they're going to be made out of 6mm foam, and you'll find the patterns that are labeled ab 6mm. You go ahead and cut them all out. These are all for the left and the right sides. A6 is a centerpiece, so there's a pattern for only one of them. So once you've got all your pattern pieces cut out and your pieces cut out using those patterns, you'll have pieces that'll look like this. Now they're ready to be painted. So when making ab pieces like this one, the ab pieces A2, A4, A5, A6, and A7, the first thing that you want to do is you want to paint the texture design on there before actually curving it out. So what I did is I took plastic canvas for working with yarn for my texture, and I laid it down over my piece, pretending that this is the actual piece that I want to paint. I laid it down, and then I took scrap pieces and put it around the corners of the plastic canvas to support its weight around the edges, so it was less likely to curve and stay as flat as possible on the piece. I also, on the back side, I sprayed a spray adhesive on there like Super 77 to ensure there was as much contact as possible with the piece when I sprayed it. Another thing to remember is when you spray the adhesive on there, make sure to give it time to cure as much as possible, because we're just looking for something to be tacky. We want to have as little or no glue residue on the actual piece itself. So once you have that all set up and you've got solid contact, use whatever spray you want to create your texture. I used Duplicolor Bumper Coating Medium Silver for my spray, and I sprayed an even coat on there until I got the depth, the richness that I wanted in the color itself, and called that good. Now before you actually spray paint it, don't forget to heat seal your pieces. So heat seal them and then go to paint them. So once you have it heat sealed and it painted, then you'll take your heat gun and curve your piece to the curve that you want in each piece. So now it's time to cut out the backside attachment pieces for the abs. So you'll be printing out your sheet that looks like this, and when you cut out the templates, your templates will look like this. You'll have an empty space in the middle of them. And like with the ab pieces, you'll have an L and an R. All these pieces are made out of 2mm foam. The only one that won't have a center space is the one for A6, because it's so thin, there's no room for one. Now, what you'll do is on the back side of your ab pieces, you'll glue these onto the back. You'll center them and glue them onto the back. And the purpose of these pieces is to allow the ab pieces to keep their curve when attached to the torso. If you didn't have this piece and you laid down glue along this whole entire bottom side, you'd press it down and you would lose the curve that you have in the piece. This way, with it slightly inset, you create just this. For example, with this piece, it's red. This red area is the only part that comes in contact with the torso. So this allows the piece to keep its curve once it's actually on the torso base. So once you have all the back attachment pieces glued to the back of your abs, your ab pieces, next you'll want to cut out the ab spacing template. There's a top and there's a bottom to it. So you'll tape them together, cut out all the negative spaces, so you have a piece like this. So what this will allow you to do is you'll pin it to the ab base on your torso. This will allow you to lay in your ab pieces in a symmetrical and even fashion. So what I've done here is, you can see with this ab piece, I've strapped it around a 5-gallon bucket, so I have a bit of a curve right here, so when I glue the pieces down, it's going to be in a more natural state as to when you'd actually wear it. You don't have to do this, but if you can, I would recommend doing it. So it's a pretty straightforward thing of lining it up around the outline of the ab base and pin it down with your pins, and then glue your ab pieces into place. Given the nature of where the ab pieces are being glued and the stress level, you should be fine with doing 2 layers of just on the back side of the ab pieces, but you can also add glue to parts of the torso piece itself, but then you run the risk of going past the lines and having some glue showing underneath outside the actual ab pieces. So it's probably something you don't need to do, but if you want to make sure it's extremely sturdy, you can try that. After you have all the center ab pieces added to the torso, probably the best order to follow for the rest of the pieces is to add sternum point next, followed by A1 and A3 on the sides here, and then finally doing A8 here. That should be the easiest way to keep the whole entire piece symmetrical.